At a recent meeting with CEOs and presidents from a wide array of diverse companies, there was a discussion that had a very common theme, and that theme was frustration. In particular, frustration with their teams. Why did it seem so hard to get a group of really bright people to come together and get the results that they wanted? Perhaps you can relate to this. You know, there's a favorite cartoon that I have that I use and refer to on a regular basis that shows somebody looking at the word team, and T stands for together, E, everyone, annoys me. And perhaps you can relate to that situation. That's not what we want. That's not what anybody really wants in a team situation. Now, we have 30 years of research that helps explain not only why this happens, but also how you can really not only avoid that issue, but make the team process something that you really enjoy and look forward to, and that gets you the results that you want, most importantly. Now, a recent white paper that we just published called "Are Teams Broken? Or Are We Just Not Using Our Heads?" really goes in depth into specific areas where, you know, you can begin to make some of those changes. But for this little video, I'd like to highlight 4 key steps that you can take to begin to really make a difference in the way your teams are functioning. And what place you want to start is to understand through what we know about the brain that we're naturally different. Everybody is different. That's not a big idea. You're like, and, you know, thanks a lot. What is interesting, I think, is that lots of times we focus on behavior differences or personality differences. Our research has been focused on thinking differences. And thinking differences are often what explains and what are at the very heart of some of the challenges we have at team situations. Because in teams, we're often solving problems. We're needing information to make decisions. We're communicating really based on our thinking. We're collaborating. We're trying to generate new ideas. So almost every piece of the critical work that we're doing in teams is related to thinking. Yet it's a piece that we don't even really know about. So your first step would be to assess what it is that your team's thinking preferences might be. What is it that they need? And this is going to be really helpful for you if you are leading a team. But it's also just as important for every member of the team to understand the thinking differences that are available. This gives great context in order to begin to understand, why is it that somebody's asking me that question? What is the information that other person needs? And oh, now I understand they're not doing that on purpose. They just think that way. So that can be a critical foundation for beginning to open up what it is that actually slows us down. And once you understand what slows you down, you can accelerate through that understanding. Once you have that, you then build your team, but not maybe in the traditional way we think about it. You're building a path to success. And, you know, one of the CEOs the other day, when we talked about team building, his eyes rolled in the back of his head and he said, oh yeah, another one of those kumbaya experiences. That's not what this is about. This is about building your team in a way that allows you to focus on what are the processes that we need in place in order to be most effective. And so often, most teams are so focused on the task that they get to task before they've really looked at what their path to success looks like. What are the processes we need? Do we have a clear understanding of our definition? Do we know what our purpose is? What are the principles and guidelines that we want to maintain as a group in order to make sure that we're successful? And using whole brain thinking, which is bringing together all of those differences, that gives you a whole array of process guidelines that allows you to really take advantage of the differences rather than seeing them as an obstacle. Next, you want to link the mentality of the work to what it is that each team member brings to the table. So, you know, some projects are very technical, other projects are more people-oriented. Most complex projects, and we see this a lot with cross-functional teams, actually have a wide array of mental demands, and you can take advantage of the diversity of thinking on the team to link some of those different activities to the critical thinking preferences of those at the table. And if you don't have those thinking preferences at the table, at least go in knowing that so that you can best address that. Once you've linked that, it makes everybody's understanding of who's doing what and why and how to best leverage the assets, the thinking assets at the table, really much clearer. And finally, you can then engage, and that would be E. Engage each team member in a way that allows them to shine at their very best and more effectively engage with each other so that the process actually drives the results that you want, rather than feeling like you're constantly kind of hitting walls left and right, or maybe you're getting to goal but it's so far over scope that it's really frustrating. So if you start by assessing A, the thinking preferences of the group, then you start to build the path to success by looking at all the processes and tools that you need to do that. Finally, you link the work that's needed to be done with the thinking preferences that best suit that so that you can really leverage the differences on the team. And then finally, engage the group. That spells A.B.L.E. And this process, these 4 steps, assess, build, link, and engage, will allow you to allow your team to be able to better achieve those perspectives and those outcomes, and really, at the end of the day, get the work done in the way it needs to be done. So I would seriously recommend checking out our white paper. Well, are teams broken? Are we just not using our heads? To get a much more in-depth array of specific examples and tools and tips that you can apply to the specific challenge. And after doing that, I think you'll see that maybe you won't be quite so frustrated the next time a team situation comes up, another team meeting, you're not sitting there dreading having to go, but rather really looking forward to being able to leverage not only your thinking, but the thinking assets, the collective intelligence of the group as a whole. Good luck, and thank you. I'm Herrmann-Nehdi, CEO of Herrmann International.